Hey guys, it is me, Angela Smith of Anjanelle and the Anjanelle Online Sewing University, where we help you to master the basics, build your skill set and confidence, and create some of the hottest trends in the fashion industry. And we are doing it all virtually, okay? So, what are we about to do in this course? All right, it's been a little stormy here, and I've been getting a lot of questions about this, so I wanted to do this quick course on how to store all of the patterns that you are making. How do you possibly stay organized? Like, if you're folding them up, how do you know what's what? So let's get into it. What you're looking at is just a portion of my design room, okay? And you see this white ottoman in front of you. This is where I store all of my patterns. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go out and buy an ottoman, even though I don't think this one was that expensive, maybe a little bit over $100. My husband gifted it to me a long time ago. And then I did some things on the inside that I'm about to show you. But this is where I store all of my patterns. Whether you get an ottoman or not, my advice to you is to have everything in one central location. You know, it's just basic skills of organization. So you want to make sure all of your buttons are in one place, all of your zippers are in one place, your muslin is in one place, your patterns is in one place, you know, all of your fabric, if you pre-purchase your fabric, that is all just organized to where you can go directly to it. You can come in, you can get straight to work, and you don't have to dig around and find this and find that. And now you've wasted a lot of time, right? So it's all about getting organized. So let me remove some of this stuff that I have on top. You know, I just have like a sketchbook and some design books, and then like some winter items like scarves and capes and stuff like that. So depending on the season, sometimes I might take a few pieces out for myself, and that's what I did here. So let's get into it. I'm about to open this up, and I'm about to give you guys an insider on how I store all of my patterns. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. I feel like this is like a treasure hunt or something, right? Because I've never showed anybody the inside of my ottoman. So let's just open this thing up. And you'll see it's actually pretty organized in here. But let me just really show you the key to what I do. And literally, this thing is specific. My ottoman is specific for my patterns. And then I took them out, but usually I have two bags in here. I have one bag that has all of my zippers. And then I have another bag that holds like all of my bias tapes, my trims that I just sit right on top. Okay, so as you can see, it's pretty organized, but let's get into it. Right here, these are all of the sleeve patterns, the live demonstrations that I showed you guys. Because I actually put sleeves together, it can be a little bit hard to store. So I just kind of folded them all, and then I put a ribbon around them so that I know these are all of my sleeve patterns. So still just really about organization here. Then if you notice, once I get that out of the way, I have muslin patterns over here to the left. All of these muslin patterns are just folded up and facing, you know, kind of downward. These are all store-bought patterns. I don't do a lot of store-bought patterns. But when I was teaching myself like different techniques, even after fashion school, I would buy a few of them, and then sometimes people will give me them as gifts. And so I thought that that was pretty dope, but I wanted to stay organized. And so I purchased, let's see if I can get this out. It's just like it says that it's called a folding pattern organizer. So I think I purchased this actually at Joann. It sits in there just perfectly. And for me, it served as like the perfect divider for different things. So see, actually over here to the left, these patterns were all for clients. And there's a lot of them that's tucked in there. So the muslin patterns do store really well. So all of these over here were for clients when I was actually meeting with them physically, getting measurements. I always do a mock-up, just like we do in every single video. I make patterns before I cut into any garment, okay? before I cut into, any fabric, brand new fabric. You don't want to mess that up. You want to make sure that everything, all of the proportions are right. With the muslin, because it's like a fabric, you can even sew it together and let the client try that on before you cut into the real fabric. Okay, I know I've said that before, and I'm going to keep saying that because I don't just cut into fabric. I've messed up so much fabric thinking that, oh, I got this. No, you need a pattern, okay? Then back here in the back, now see, y'all are getting the real here because back here, these are all paper patterns that I made before I decided to switch everything to muslin. So these were either, for me, these were for clients. I see different names that I have on them. But the paper was just, it was just extremely, I just don't like the paper for a lot of different reasons. Like you could see my edges and it rips and it's just a lot to it. So I stopped using the paper, but I did use a lot of paper, especially because that's what we learned in fashion school was to use drafting paper. But I organized all of those. Some of those I haven't switched over to muslin, which is why they're still there. But I do plan on switching them from paper to the muslin pattern. Then over here, this is all for the most part current stuff. Like if you notice right here, it says fitted dress. This is the last video tutorial that we did and that I posted. Right up underneath that, a buttonhole guide. You might remember that when we did the intro to buttons and buttonhole. Long tank top. So see, what I do is I take my pattern and I just fold it in a way to where it's in a nice small square. Then I write on the outside what it is. So it says long tank top and it says curved bottom. So now I can literally, while I'm digging through these patterns, I can find it without having to unfold every single pattern and see what it is. For some of them, I'll even put a pin in it, like this one, the fitted dress, because we had that one long piece. I just folded it up. I put a pin in there. If you put it in this way, typically you don't, cut yourself for anything. And that's how I do it. So you just want to fold it up and make sure that what that pattern is always somewhere visible. And y'all are seeing every single course for the most part that I recorded right here, overlapping top. This one says, and see, I could put a pin in that because that might come apart. Circle skirt. I even have a measurement out here for when I decide that I want to make my next circle skirt, because the circle pattern you can do so many things with. The circle can sit on your waist. You can make circle tops. You can make, all types of stuff, skirts, dresses. So I just put that measurement there. But yeah, I just fold it in a way that you can see it without unraveling. The hood, it says 2-piece. So it's either going to be 2 pieces already folded, or that was just a note to myself that I need to cut out 2 of these. So I always discover that when I open it up and get ready to work on my next project. I have my pencil skirt here. And if you notice, they lay really flat. Like the only thing that I worry about with muslin, is really not even a worry, but the only thing about the muslin patterns is that they will be really wrinkled. But with the paper, it's wrinkled. It may rip. The pencil marks might fade. It's so many things that made me switch over. So just wanted to show y'all this really, really quickly. I don't want this video to be too long, but I have been getting questions about it. So I just stacked them neatly. I make sure that everything is marked. Like if you want to see me just kind of open it up, y'all should remember this top where we did the intro to zippers. So and then I make sure if I ever have to use this again, I folded the exact same way that it was folded. So I typically, it's no right way or wrong way to do that part. But I did something like this, and see, I just make sure that I always see what the actual pattern is. And as we get into bigger projects, this is going to be so crucial. Like you see with this one, I have a pin in it because that tells me it's quite a few pieces. And that's what I wanted to point out. When we get into bigger projects, you guys, like I have shown you how to do like dress patterns, but typically, you know, I've been showing you how to just hem it at the neckline, hem it at the sleeves, hem it at the bottom. We're not actually doing, I forgot what it's called, but we're not actually using another piece of fabric to go in and do those type of things. And some patterns do require you to do that. So as we get into bigger projects, you might have, instead of one part of your pattern, you may have 5 pieces. You may have 6 pieces because you have the fabric. You have a separated collar. You have the front patterns. You have the back patterns. You may incorporate different types of prints, which you may incorporate cutouts, which would cause you to cut up your pattern a little bit and do some extra work. So you may have 5 or 6 pieces. You're going to, you know, after you do that work, make sure every single piece of that garment is folded up. One of the examples that come to mind for me that sometimes have a lot of pieces is a jacket, a blazer, because there's so much that goes into that. You have the sleeves, you have the collars, you have the front. If you line it on the inside, you have the lining. So it's a lot of work that goes into that. And so imagine what that pattern is like. There's a lot of pieces to it. So this is why you want to start the organization early, because trust me, we're going to get into all of that. Look, this is a romper, and this is what I'm talking about. This, if you notice, I don't know if you really can't see that. I used just kind of some mock fabric. I was out of muslin, but I did this romper for a client. Okay. And her name is probably on here somewhere. And so look, this is what I'm saying right here. There's so many pieces to this garment. Okay. These were shorts. So the way that I did these shorts, because we had pockets in seam, there was 4, literally 4 pieces just for the shorts alone. Then you had the front, and it kind of wrapped around. She was a little bitty thing too, wrapped around. So we had 2 of those. Then we had the back piece, right? It says back. Then the pocket, and I wrote 4 pieces on there. So this is just a prime example. It just so happened to be right here. This is what I'm talking about. So see, I had to lay all of this out on the fabric before I cut it. And it turned out so beautiful. So you just want to just keep that in mind as you continue to go. Like this one, I didn't mark, because it's obvious what we went over in this particular course. I can mark it, but I intentionally folded it in a way that I would see the buttons and the buttonholes to know that that was the course that we actually went through. So it's a lot of, it's not a lot of work. It's just really a matter of getting organized. See, this one, it's cut off a little bit, but it's the fur vest. So what I would do is just refold it to where you can only see the name. So I hope that this is helpful, you guys. Get organized to the best of your ability. Even if you don't have an actual design room right now, if you're sewing, on the kitchen table, have you just like some boxes or something where you can just keep everything organized, everything pretty, and you can go straight through all of your projects. All right. That's all I got for you. I'll be back again next week with a live demo. So make sure you tune in. If you're not already, make sure you join the Facebook group, and I will see you soon.